Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special errata for session 5. Lee, you want to take over from here and explain to them what we're going to do?
What, you want to explain what got messed up in the code?
Well, it's not a
Well,
bad
it
idea.
wasn't my fault. I mean, it was the Gremlins. They did it,
I got
honestly.
you.
Well, okay. It might have been my fault. All right. Basically, we've got this little error that is happening when we try to build noise if we're using our noise get values method that we created. We've got, if you remember, we've got two different types of get values. We've got a 2D version and we've got a 3D version. Both of them will exhibit the same problem. If I go ahead and change our offset for the start of our texture to be anything other than 0, we get a very interesting little problem. So if I change those to be, let's say, 10 and 10, we jump over to Unity real quick and we hit play. You'll notice that we don't get any noise, but we do get an error. This error is basically continually running, saying that we are out of range on our array index. Now, I found this because I took this code and I was like, going, great, I got all this noise stuff. Let's throw it into one of my R&D projects and implement it. And the R&D project that I was messing with happened to need to generate noise that started at values other than 0. So I discovered it. Now I'm going to show you what I discovered and how to fix it. Here's our get values. This is the 2D, and this one down here is our 3D. This is where our problem happens. We're taking in an X in, a Y in, and an X in, and a Y in, and a Z in for both of these. Now, X in, Y in for 2D, X in, Y in, Z in for 3D. I am then looping through the start value of Y in and then the start value of X in, and I'm then using those calculations to derive a position in our temporary data array. So if we start at anything other than 0 for either of these, this calculation is not going to start at 0. It's going to go at some size greater than we expected to because we're not starting at 0, which means this array is going to run outside of the bounds that we defined by our size. So we need to fix this. It's fairly straightforward. All we have to do is define another variable. We'll call this one counter. Set it equals 0. And after we set our data, we'll increment our counter. And then we'll use our counter to define our index, or what element that we're writing inside of our data. And I need to put a semicolon in. So this will fix the problem. We can do the same thing with our 3D version. And we need to increment it. So that should fix our problem. If we jump back over and we run again, we get noise and no error.
Excellent.
Now, just to be thorough, I'm going to stop this because we're using our 3D implementation right now. And I want to make sure that we test the change on the 2D as well. So right here, where we're using our iteration, I'll just remove this bit from that call. This will force us to use the 2D version of that method, or the 2D override. We hit play again. We get static noise, no errors.
Cool.
So that will fix the problem. And I think I found that before anybody else has. At least I haven't seen anything on the forums yet, but I wanted to get that out there so whoever's following along has a correct implementation of the noise.
Okay.
So
is that pretty much it for this video here?
for this one, yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, that's going to wrap this one up. Thanks a lot.